is one of the most important pieces of technology in the Fallout universe, transforming individuals into walking tanks capable of dishing out and surviving extreme amounts of damage. With the advent of the T-45, warfare was forever changed, and individual factions, including China and the United States, continually pushed for the most advanced power armor. Although post-nuclear war scarcity, specifically the loss of resources, knowledge, and production facilities, made the creation of new armor difficult, several factions, primarily the Enclave, continued to improve on pre-war designs. Today, we break down the 5 most advanced pieces of power armor within Fallout lore. Now, this will be somewhat difficult, as some pieces of armor are unique to single games without crossover, but we will do our best. Also, power armor's quality within the lore, which again is what we're looking at today, does not always correlate with in-game stats. We'll discuss this as we go along, but I also do think there will be some controversy with this list, so I'm going to spend more time explaining how I think the lore interacts, rather than just listing the armor and providing a breakdown. Keep in mind here, we're also looking at base stock armor sets here, not considering individualized upgrades. The 5th and 4th spots are both filled by pre-war armors. As a bit of background, power armor includes typically some form of an energy source, gyroscopic and hydraulic systems, and of course, a sturdy armored frame. It is kind of difficult to pick for 4 and 5. We have 2 seemingly contradictory statements in Fallout 4. First, we have a loading screen which says the following: the T-51 series of power armor was the pinnacle of mechanized protection before the Great War. Yet, we also know from Fallout that the T-60 was designed afterwards, and meant to replace, at least in some capacity, the T-51. So we have to wonder, if the T-51 was the pinnacle of mechanized armor, why was the T-60 even created, and why was it at least somewhat meant to replace the T-51? This is further confused by the fact that in-game, the T-60 actually has better stats. Ultimately, there's no winning when trying to make a choice here. Today, I'll say that the word pinnacle perhaps refers to the fact that the T-51 was widespread and the main armor of the US military, perhaps with some and more advanced systems. However, the T-60 ultimately offers more protection. So I'll put the T-51 at 5 and the T-60 at 4, again with all the disclaimers I've mentioned earlier. As a note, the T-60 is likely built off the frame of the original T-45 power armor, but that's a discussion for another day. At number 3 and 2, we have a power armor duo that is somewhat controversial within the Fallout community. We have the XO1, which appeared in Fallout 4, and the Advanced Power Armor, first appearing in Fallout 2. Many argue that these two suits are actually the same, and that Bethesda made a few mistakes with the lore around this armor, mostly due to the fact that the two do look near identical. I'm not going to decide either way, but we'll treat the two as separate. The XO1 is meant to offer superior protection and energy resistance compared to the T-51 and T-60 models of armor. It very clearly emphasizes defense, as evidenced by the suit's blocky frame, which is so large that it actually blocks the user's view around the shoulder. According to a Fallout 4 loading screen, the XO1 series of power armor was specifically engineered and employed by remnants of the US military after the Great War, and offers increased protection over the older pre-war models. Unlike the advanced power armor, which we'll discuss later, it doesn't appear like the XO1 made significant increases in mobility or armor weight, and it seems like the O1 was nearing completion near the end of the war, perhaps entering the prototype stage, but was then finished and more widely used after the bombs dropped by existing elements of the US military. In Fallout 4, the XO1 is, stats-wise, superior to all strictly pre-war suits. At number 2, we have the Advanced Power Armor, which was used after the military and the surviving members of the US government formed the Enclave. The Enclave created what may have been the very first post-war suit of armor. The APA, or Advanced Power Armor Mark I, made pre-war sets of armor like the T-51 obsolete, largely due to improvements in armor weight and mobility. However, the APA Mark I was later upgraded, giving us the Advanced Power Armor II, which made further improvements and became the standard armor for the Enclave. Strangely, in Fallout 3, the APA is not a great set of armor stats-wise, but I'm going to chalk this up to a balancing issue more than anything else. At number 1, we have, unsurprisingly, surprisingly, another post-war Enclave power armor. This shouldn't surprise anyone, as the Enclave were one of the only factions producing new armor, and generally they were improving on pre-war designs. While standard troops within the Enclave typically used APAs, high-ranking soldiers were given access to Hellfire armor, which the lore specifically states in Fallout 3 was the most advanced model of power armor ever produced, not only offering superior resistance against ordinary damage, but also specifically protecting against heat. Despite this statement, we do see more discrepancy with actual in-game statistics. The T-51, for example, has equal damage resistance to the more advanced suit of armor, but again, I'll call this balancing. And those are, in my opinion at least, the 5 most advanced suits of power armor in the Fallout universe, at least from a lore perspective. Did I miss something? Did I get something right? How do you feel about the T-51, T-60 fiasco? Let me know all of that and more down in the comments. Thanks guys for tuning in. If you do like these non-Star Wars videos, make sure to support this one, give it a like, share it around, and check out the playlist I've made for any non-Star Wars or Halo video. Anyway, until next time guys, this has been EckhartsLadder. May the Force be with you.